It's January 17th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Starting with the ongoing investigation into President Yun Soot's botched martial law order. A South Korean court dismissed Yoon's legal team's petition over the legality of the detention of the impeached president, which will keep Yoon in custody. Investigators are expected to file a warrant on Friday to officially arrest Yoon for further questioning. The second formal impeachment hearing for President Yun took place without him on Thursday, after the Constitutional Court rejected Yoon's request to reschedule the hearing. Yoon's legal team and the Parliament's legal team debated the legitimacy of Yoon's martial law declaration. At least 86 Palestinians were killed in Israeli airstrikes across the Gaza Strip since the announcement of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. The U.S. is still confident the three-phase deal will go into effect on Sunday, despite a last-minute delay by Israel's cabinet to ratify the deal. With the court rejecting a petition challenging President Yoon's detention, investigators can and will continue to try to question him, while also filing a warrant on Friday to officially arrest him. Let's connect with our Kim Bo-kyung at the investigators' office over in Gwacheon City. Bo-kyung.
Hello, Tommy.
So, Bo-kyung, let's start with the court's dismissal of the petition. Fill us in.
All right, Tommy, as you have already said, the Seoul Central District Court dismissed impeached President Yoon's request to challenge his detention after hours of deliberation on Thursday. You see, President Yoon was taken into custody on Wednesday and detained by the CIO for questioning over his December 3rd martial law declaration and has been refusing to speak or attend interrogations. Yoon's legal team tried to turn things around by filing a petition to the Seoul Central District Court seeking a review of the legality of his detention. They argued the detention warrant against him issued by the Seoul Western District Court was invalid and that the CIO lacked jurisdiction over insurrection. The court convened a hearing at 5 p.m. to review Yoon's request, but as it rejected claims from Yoon's side, the president remains in custody as the investigation continues. Yoon's legal team expressed regret over the court's decision, saying it is unfortunate how illegal and unlawful actions are tolerated while the rule of law is being undermined. Yoon's side added they will not comply with the CIO's investigation, saying they cannot accept illegal procedures.
Well, Bo-kyung, the next step for now for the investigators is seeking a formal arrest warrant for President Yun Soot. We should expect that to happen today as well, right?
Yes, Tommy. The CIO originally had to decide whether to seek arrest warrant by 10:33 a.m. today, but the 48-hour deadline has been extended to 9 p.m. tonight as the court review was in progress. Since around 2 p.m. on Thursday, when investigators submitted documents, including evidence, to the court, the detention period remained on hold until the court returned the documents to the CIO investigators early this morning at 12:35 a.m. Now, with the court's decision, the CIO is expected to seek a formal arrest warrant late Friday night to keep him in detention for a longer period. If the formal arrest warrant is issued, Yoon can be held for a total of 20 days, including the initial 48-hour detention period. The CIO will likely hold and question Yoon for 8 more days before transferring the case to the prosecution, which has the authority to indict a suspect. Both parties have already agreed to spend 10 days each questioning Yoon.
So it looks like it's going to be another long day today. Bo-kyung, before I let you go, I'm sure pro-Yoon protesters remain distressed and upset. I can hear that in the background.
That's right, Tommy. They absolutely were, and they are right now. After the court rejected Yoon's request, supporters gathered in front of the Seoul Central District Court expressed their anger and reportedly moved to Seoul Detention Center to show their support for President Yoon. The police unofficially estimated that around 300 people were gathered in front of the court last night. A conservative group rally with an estimated 3,000 participants is scheduled to take place in front of Seoul Detention Center at 1 p.m. a.m. today. Now, that is all I have for now, but I will bring you more updates in our later newscast. Back to you, Dami.
Alrighty, Bo-kyung, thank you for that coverage. That was our Kim Bo-kyung reporting live from the investigator's office. In the meantime, President Yun stays put in the Seoul Detention Center after refusing to testify on Thursday. Now, according to his legal team, he won't show up for Friday's questioning either. Kim Jong-un reports.
President Yun Soot continues to refuse investigative procedures. The Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials notified Yoon to attend questioning at 10 a.m. on Friday, but his legal team has indicated he will not comply. Since his arrest on Wednesday, Yoon has remained silent. During his initial 10-hour interrogation, he declined to answer questions, verify his testimony, or sign documents. On Thursday, he delayed a second round of questioning due to health concerns and ultimately skipped the rescheduled session. The president has consistently argued that the investigation by the CIO is illegal, but legal experts disagree.
It's true that CIO does not have specific jurisdiction over insurrection, but what they do have is the jurisdiction to look at any related crime, and here they are investigating Yoon's abuse of office. So it's entirely within their jurisdiction, so there's absolutely no problem.
Professor Cho added that despite Yoon's silence, the CIO would still be able to indict him. Yoon is currently being held in a pretrial detention cell separate from other detainees. The facility provides basic amenities including a bed, table, and private restroom. He's been given the same food as provided to other detainees, costing around 1,700 Korean won or about $1.2 per serving to make. The Justice Ministry has assigned a special team to monitor Yoon's safety around the clock. Meanwhile, Yoon's legal team has filed complaints against top investigators, arguing his arrest was illegal and vowing to challenge the investigation. Officials are considering stronger measures, such as forcibly escorting Yoon to questioning or conducting an on-site interview. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
And the second impeachment hearing for President Yun was carried out as scheduled on Thursday without him, where his legal representatives and the National Assembly's legal team exchanged some heated words. Our Oh Soo-young has more.
President Yun Soot's impeachment trial unfolded with intense political overtones as the Constitutional Court proceeded without the leader at the second hearing on Thursday.
As a full-fledged debate began, lawyers representing Yoon and the National Assembly presented conflicting narratives about the legality and the context of the martial law decree declared on December 3rd last year.
The National Assembly's panel presented 5 grounds for impeachment, declaring there was no basis or conditions that made it necessary for a martial law decree, which can only be triggered by the president in times of national crises such as war or those akin to war. The panel also said Yoon violated the procedure of declaring the decree by not having properly attained and documented cabinet approval. They also claimed Yoon tried to paralyse the functions of parliament by aiming to prevent a motion to lift martial law, as well as block political activities, gatherings and press freedom. The Assembly side further said Yoon tried to undermine the independence of the National Election Commission and tried to detain judicial figures.
The respondent violated the Constitution, attempting to dismantle the Republic of Korea's constitutional and democratic system in one sweeping act.
Meanwhile, Yoon's lawyers questioned the impeachment process and emphasised the context in which the president felt forced to declare the fateful decree. The lawyers insisted that the president was initiating a peaceful martial law against the opposition-led parliament's series of attacks and impeachment motions against the incumbent government.
I'd like to ask how exactly you as the opposition-led parliament have been protecting the political opposition, which is the administration, with your relentless attacks? You claim protecting the political opposition is fundamental to liberal democracy, and that hit me hard.
Yoon's side also raised suspicions about election fraud and claimed it was the president's duty to try to protect the constitutional order as the National Election Commission refused to accept investigations. They fundamentally argued that martial law should not be subject to judicial review, calling it an act of governance that can be exercised by the president. The team further reiterated their position that the National Assembly panel's move to remove debate over insurrection from the trial undermines its legitimacy, as the Assembly cited insurrection as a major reason for impeachment in their resolution. The second hearing took place without the president, as the leader was arrested and taken in for questioning on Wednesday. Under the Constitutional Court Act, the judicial bench is able to hold trial hearings without the respondent if they are absent for the second time. The court denied Yoon's request to delay Thursday's session, saying that his 48-hour detainment didn't justify rescheduling. However, during the hearing, the bench decided to add 3 full days of trial hearings until February 13th. It originally set 5 afternoon sessions until February 4th, which Yoon's defense objected to. His legal team has argued that the trial is moving along too quickly without sufficient discussion or notification of the proceedings. The team has also objected to the court obtaining investigation records as evidence. To this, the court said Thursday that it does not violate the law, and also announced that 5 senior officials under investigation, including former Defense Minister Kim Jong-un and former Intelligence Chief Hong Jang-won, were selected as witnesses, with testimony set for January 23rd and February 4th. The next trial hearing for the president's impeachment will be held Tuesday at 2 p.m. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
According to South Korea's intel agency, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump might pursue smaller-scale agreements with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Now, why not big deal? Something that Trump pursued and chased 6-7 years ago. We are joined by Dr. Bruce Bennett. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. Let's start with what these small-scale agreements could be. I mean, what could be included in these smaller deals?
Well, I think the problem with a large deal is that Kim rejected that even back in 2019. Then President Trump tried to get Kim, as I understand it, to offer more than just Yongbyon, to offer a more extensive set of shutdown of nuclear facilities in the north, and Kim absolutely refused. So he's not going to try and cross that path again. The other problem, of course, that he faces is that Kim was furious after President Trump walked out of that Hanoi summit. And so I think at this stage, it's not going to be a group of 2 friends getting together and trying to negotiate. It's going to likely be Trump leveraging Kim and saying something like, we want you to shut down the Yongbyon uranium enrichment facility, a limited agreement, and if you don't, we will modernize all of the U.S. nuclear weapons storage in South Korea. Won't put nuclear weapons there, but we'll modernize that. That kind of coercive environment may be the only way he gets to some form of meaningful negotiation.
So Trump may be seeking smaller agreements because of all the experience that they went through 6-7 years ago. Again, what kind of smaller deals then do you expect to come out this time, if they ever met?
Well, I think that Trump will try to focus on individual elements of the nuclear program. Trying to get Kim to give up his whole nuclear weapon program, that's just not going to happen. You look at even public opinion polls in South Korea, and 90% of people don't think North Korea is going to fully denuclearize. So Trump is going to have to try to take it a piece at a time, and that's going to be tough working with Kim because Kim is going to be resistant to any reduction. Remember, Kim has said he wants to exponentially increase his nuclear weapons and nuclear weapon production. So cutting down on that increase is going to be a very tough effort.
What kind of deals do you think have the highest chance to please and satisfy both Trump and Kim Jong-un?
Oh, I doubt that any deal will please both sides. I think it's probably going to have to be done coercively, and I think Trump's targets will likely be on certain nuclear production facilities. I think it's easier to get Kim to agree to freeze certain aspects of the nuclear nuclear production than it is to get Kim to give up nuclear weapons themselves. And so I suspect that's where he's going to start. But to do that, he is going to have to be prepared to coerce Kim and push him to do that.
So it's a given that Trump and Kim Jong-un will engage, in the near future during the Trump second administration. Now, what should then South Korea do so that we don't get left out of Washington-Pyongyang talks, especially when, things are really rocky here on the Korean Peninsula or here in South Korea because of the whole political drama?
Well, I think an important part of this is for the South Korean government to start working with the Trump administration as soon as they're inaugurated on Monday and start offering their own ideas on what parts of the North Korean nuclear program ought to be discontinued. That's an important aspect, and in what kind of ways Kim can be pressured in order to do that. Not pressured in terms of military actions, but pressured in terms of giving a comparable program to the South Korean government. We know that South Korea has F-35 aircraft. They could carry nuclear weapons. Tell Kim that we're going to put nuclear weapons storage at that base so that if Kim doesn't stop production at the new nuclear weapon uranium enrichment facility he just produced. We've got to give Kim some incentive to move ahead.
Staying in close touch with the incoming Trump administration will be crucial for South Korea. Dr. Bennett, North Korea fired a hypersonic missile 2 weeks ahead of the launch of Trump administration and another short-range ballistic missile 1 week ago. Should we expect another missile launch on the inauguration day next week?
Well, I think we probably can. The problem that Kim faces is he's sending many of his missiles to Russia. So he doesn't have a lot of extra missiles to test. But he probably is prepared to hold back a missile or two or three in order to make a point. He may do it on the inauguration day. He may do it shortly before or after. But he's going to want to catch Trump's attention. And Trump's got to be prepared to come back and say, you shouldn't have done that. Here's the penalty for doing that.
Right. Well, that time Trump will be speaking as the U.S. leader. Dr. Bennett, thanks so much for your time and your insight. As always, you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. My pleasure.
The global economy is expected to grow by 2.7% in 2025 and again in 2026. That is according to the World Bank's World Economic Prospects Report released on Thursday. It added that while the global economy stab, the economies of developing countries are expected to make a slow progress in catching up with the advanced economies. Now, among the advanced economies, the U.S. is expected to grow 2.3% this year, while Japan is forecast to grow just 1.2%. And China is expected to see growth of 4.5% this year. Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power and Korea Electric Power Corporation have resolved their intellectual property dispute with U.S.-based Westinghouse. The agreement announced Friday ends the legal dispute and paves the way for stronger cooperation in the global nuclear energy market. With KHNP, the preferred bidder for a nuclear power project in Czech Republic, the deal is expected to boost their chances of securing the project. And KHNP said it aims to strengthen its position in the global market by forming a new strategic relationship with Westinghouse. Despite an Israeli-Hamas ceasefire, which is set to begin on Sunday, Israel conducted another airstrike on Thursday, killing a total of 86 Palestinians. Our Lee Seung-ja has more.
Many rejoiced at the news of a 6-week ceasefire deal agreed between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas. But just days before the deal is implemented on Sunday, Israel conducted more airstrikes in Gaza, killing at least 3 more Gazans and raising the death toll to 86 since the news of the ceasefire agreement. According to Gaza's Civil Defense Service, the death toll includes 23 children and 27 women. During the same period, more than 250 Palestinians have also been injured in airstrikes across Gaza. Israel's cabinet was set to vote on the ceasefire deal on Thursday, but the vote did not take place, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu blaming a last-minute disagreement with Hamas for the delay. The Prime Minister's office said the militant group is reneging on parts of the agreement in order to gain further concessions. It accused Hamas of backing out of the understandings and creating a last-minute crisis that prevents a settlement. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the deal will start on time, despite what he called a last-minute loose end.
On the ceasefire, yes, I am confident, and I fully expect that implementation will begin, as we said, on Sunday. Look, it's not exactly surprising that in a process and a negotiation that has been this challenging and this fraught, you may get a loose end. We're tying up that loose end as we speak.
Following the ceasefire agreement, the European Union on Thursday pledged 120 million euros, or over $123 million in aid for Palestine. According to European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in a post on X, the ceasefire and hostage release agreement offers hope the region desperately needed, but added that Gaza's humanitarian situation remains grim. The aid will provide assistance to address acute food insecurity and malnutrition, healthcare assistance, water, sanitation and hygiene support, shelter and protection assistance. The latest humanitarian assistance to Gaza from the bloc brings the total to over $460 million since 2023. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now, let's take a look at the stories from around the world with our Choi Ji-hee. Good morning, Ji-hee.
Good morning, Tammy.
So, Ji-hee, let's begin today with the meetup between the Ukrainian president and the British Prime Minister. A historic partnership was sealed between the two states. Tell us more.
That's right. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited Kyiv on January 16th to sign a 100-year partnership agreement with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The agreement aims to strengthen security ties, defense cooperation, and economic collaboration, including supporting Ukraine's post-war reconstruction. During the visit, Starmer said the UK's commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and security is steadfast and enduring. This visit is part of a broader initiative by European leaders to reaffirm their support for Ukraine ahead of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration. Leaders from Germany and France have also recently visited Kyiv to show their solidarity with Ukraine. Moving to the Middle East, Iraq is finalizing a deal with U.S. oil firm Halliburton to develop the Nahr Bin Omar oilfield. It aims to boost the oilfield's production from approximately 50,000 barrels per day to 300,000 barrels per day. The deal also includes plans to produce gas from the same field. It's part of Iraq's broader strategy to increase its oil and gas production. Iraq also plans to increase its output from the West Korna-1 field, operated by PetroChina, to 750,000 barrels per day by the end of the year. It also working with China Petroleum Engineering and Construction Corporation on a $1.7 billion gas project. Over in Slovakia, an 18-year-old high school student has been detained after allegedly stabbing 2 people to death. The stabbings happened on Thursday local time in the small town of Spišská Stará Ves in the north of the country near the Polish border. A deputy principal and a student were killed. The suspect fled the scene but was immediately detained by the police. While stabbings are rare in Slovakia, similar incidents occurred in 2020 and 2022, where the suspects were also young students. The Slovakian Ministers of Interior and Education visited the town and committed to implementing measures to prevent future attacks and improve safety for students and teachers. American filmmaker David Lynch has died at the age of 78. The director died due to complications from emphysema, a chronic lung condition, according to his family. His celebrated creations include Blue Velvet, The Elephant Man, and Mulholland Drive, all of which received Best Director Oscar nominations, and the TV series Twin Peaks. Lynch's career began with the 1977 classic Eraserhead and received an honorary Academy Award in 2019 for his contributions to cinema. While Lynch fought health challenges in recent years, he kept working on creative endeavors until his passing.
Freezed air continues in central regions. Gangwon-do province is seeing lows below -10 to even -15 degrees Celsius. It's icy roads out there for central regions in Jeollabuk-do province. Please drive and walk with care. However, afternoon highs will rise rapidly to way above norms. Temperatures will go up further over the weekend, and next Monday marks Taehan, the last winter season term. So we should be having the coldest time of the year, but temperatures have been rather generous and should stay above norms through next week and likely into the Seollal holiday. Checking on today's highs now, Seoul gets up to 5 degrees, Daegu at 8 degrees under sunny skies nationwide. Air quality will be normal in most parts except in Sejong during the morning. But a dry weather advisory remains in place for the East Coast, so hikers should take extra caution against wildfires. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That is all we have for this morning. We'll be back next Monday at the same time, 10 a.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.